Dynamic Secretary of AHE Kerala, Dr. Deepa Janardhanan, ma'am.
Respected seniors and dignitaries, good evening to one and all. When I was preparing for my entrance, during that time, most studious guy in my class, he, on the eve of the entrance exam, ended his life by suicide. So this happened to us. It was a shock for us. And we all have experienced exam stress to varying degrees during our course. And for me, like, it's only after my PG, after my major exams, that I came to know that there are effective ways of dealing with and preventing exam stress. So it's a matter of privilege and honor for me to introduce the chairperson for today, who is also the chief editor of this module, Dr. Ashraf sir. Actually, sir doesn't need any introduction to this audience. Everybody knows him, but still, sir is a professor and HOD, Department of Pediatrics, Government Medical College, Konni, Kerala. He is the consultant Community Disability Management and Rehabilitation Project of Calicut University. Sir is the state president of AHA chapter from 2018 to 20. He was the executive director, Kerala Social Security Mission from 2012 to 16. As a project director, State Initiative on Disabilities from 2013 to 16. So was a superintendent IMCH Government Medical College Kozhikode from 2007 to 12. And sir's area of interest is social pediatrics. I'm extremely happy to have you here, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Deepa, for that elaborated introduction, even though it is not needed in this audience. Every one of us are familiar each other. Every previous speakers highlighted one or another aspect of the exam stress. We all know it is a very, very, very important topic, and every pediatrician should be trained how to counsel these children. Not only children, the AHA along with this formulated another module for students and a module for school teachers. Even the medical teachers are needed, I think. I'm not going to that. Even medical teachers don't know how to deal with children with the stress. Actually, this module is main contributors of the module are Dr. Shibu, Dr. Ranjit, Dr. Deepa, and I reviewed the module. So I am sure it is very helpful for the practicing pediatrician. And Dr. Priya is the, I think the Priya is introduced by Dr. Sweda. Okay, so yes. I straight away invite Dr. Sweda to introduce Dr. Priya.
Thank you, sir. It is indeed an honor for me to introduce my teacher, Dr. Priya, ma'am. Ma'am completed her MBBS and MD Pediatrics from Government Medical College, Kozhikode. She has worked in Kerala Government Health Services from 2009 to 2015. Madam joined Government Medical College, Kozhikode as Assistant Professor in 2019, and she has been working there since then. Madam has special interest in general pediatrics, adolescent medicine, immunization, and pediatric endocrinology. Over to you, ma'am. The platform is all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta, for that kind introduction.
Priya, before you, I will add one more thing.
Sir.
Because Parvati madam is there. 2 years back, when Priya took a class for the ICDS workers about the nutrition, Parvati madam called me and asked me the Priya's number to call you to congratulate. So Priya is a very good teacher. Over to you, Dr. Priya.
First of all, I thank this wonderful opportunity to deal with something which everybody wants to deal with. I do not think we have all the answers yet, but it is a very good starting point. And I'm starting to share the screen. Before that, I have to give my heartfelt thanks to the team who has stood with me through my ups and downs in making this successful module at last. And I hope everybody can see what we have put into it. So this is just an imagination or a real description sometimes of how an exam.
Priya, can you make it full screen?
Yeah. Hmm.
The icon is seen in the lower down.
No, now it has become smaller, I think.
Right lower corner, you have the icon, single square.
രഞ്ജിത്തെ
Right lower.
സൂമിന്റെ സെറ്റിംഗ് അങ്ങനെയുള്ളതെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
No, no.
കാണുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ.
സൈഡ് സ്പീക്കർ
പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ഐക്കൺ ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്താൽ മതി. താഴെ ബോട്ടം സൂമിന്റെ മുന്നേ
റൈറ്റ് ആംഗിൾ
അല്ലല്ല.
No, the icon that's like a
two icons after the one you have clicked now.
Ice cream bowl bolte icon ille.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fine.
So this is what the problem with exam stress is, that the system can go into a crash. So these are the essential points we are planning to discuss in this session. The essentials of adolescent life, examination stress, the human stress response and how symptoms of exam stress can present, sources of stress and how to tackle. So we will give a scenario. Ammu and Appu are very happy with the SSLC exam results. This scenario is very common nowadays in the COVID exam period, where children were able to pass out with or without much work. Ammu has scored a full A+ as a reward for her diligent effort, and Appu is happy that he passed with a good marks despite being too lazy. So there was a system where focus area was given, and after setting a fixed percentage of total proportion to be studied, the papers were based on this. Even if the focus area was not being given to many students, this practice has been there for a long time. So now the exam stress, how to prepare for the next major exam they are going to face? Can they relax a little bit? Is it necessary to sacrifice all the leisure on the way to the exam? And is it better to be the hare or a tortoise? Of course, all of us have stories to say that we have been hares in many exams, but is it the right approach? So first, just like any adolescent counseling or any adolescent topic, we will have to start from the essentials of adolescent life. That is the food, exercise, sleep, and comfort. The food, this is the NIN recommendation for meeting 2000 calories for a sedentary adolescent. The proportion indicated should be strictly followed. We can see that around 50% is comprised of fruits and vegetables. So that stress, that will help them achieve the necessary bioactive compounds, functional foods, antioxidants, and good quantity of micronutrients. So this is always important, though it is basic. Coming to exercise, at least an average of 60 minutes per day to moderate or vigorous intensity, aerobic physical activity is the recommendation. However, it is very important to tell the adolescent that doing some physical activity is definitely better than doing none. And you can start by doing 5 or 10 minutes of physical activity and gradually progress to the 60 minutes. And every physical activity counts. In the era of smart watches and phones, where the physical activity can be actually counted in steps. So this factor is very important, that they can use whatever time is available. Even walking and reading is a good way of physical activity. So coming to sleep, which is a usual casualty in case of exam stress, as some speakers before me, including Ashraf sir, have stressed and Ajit sir have stressed, the important thing we have to remember is that sleep problems are one of the most frequently reported problems associated with adolescent depression. So this can be the forerunner of many other psychological stresses as well as presentation of psychiatric illness. As this topic is not dealing with the psychiatric illness part, we will take it as important suggestion or important pointer to something bigger underneath. So what is the recommended hours of sleep? The sleep recommendation is 8 to 10 hours per day, depending on the need for the child. Just like any other normal distribution curve, sleep also has a normal distribution curve varying from 8 to 10 hours. Now, this is one important thing we have to understand. The adolescents are thought to have what is known as social jet lag. What happens is the light blue shows the adult melatonin secretion or the sleep cycle of a typical adult. We can see that the activity period of the adult starts from early morning and ends by late evening. Whereas the adolescent activity or the brain activity, normal circadian rhythm of the adolescence, there is a slow start and the child likes to stay up more time in the late night. So this many a times has a conflict with the daily routines, with the school schedule, with the tuitions, etc. And the child has a lack of sleep. So this is one of the major points to be addressed in any child who is presenting with significant stress. And coming to the screen time, we are all culprits of using screen time as a mode of relaxation. So again, just like us, any adolescent will also prefer to have this, because once you're exhausted and not interested in exercise, or your free time comes out late at night, screen time is a very useful recreation. But it is important to limit the screen time, and it should not replace other activities. That is the most important message we have to give them. It should not replace any other activities, including sleep or interaction and studies and skill development. For this, we have to encourage the families to give the free time of the child as a fun-filled and secure environment. It should not be a time to audit the exam marks and audit the child's other activities. So this is very important, that the families should give a supportive time when the child is taking a break from the studies. And coming to the extras on the plate, which is one of the most interesting things for the teenager. Junk foods, we are aware of the problems. Coffee, which is usually used as a stimulant that increases alertness. It can cause issues such as increased anxiety, blood pressure, acid reflux, and sleep disturbances, which many are not aware of. We have to actually share this knowledge with the adolescents as well as their parents, who can actually encourage them to take the beverages to stay awake longer. The new problem in scenario in this context is what is known as study drugs. They are prescription stimulant medications which are used improperly with people or illegally with people without a prescription. The problem with these drugs is that initially they will give you a sense of euphoria. The prolonged use can alter the brain chemistry in such a way that happiness or supply of dopamine is reliant on the drugs. So we should definitely counsel them against the use of study drugs with or without the presence of or active contribution to the history. These extras on the plate are definitely to be discouraged. Now coming to the exact topic, this was supposed to represent Churali, which we have all felt when the exams are ticking closer to us. Now Amu and Apu are continuing with their regular study patterns. Amu has put in regular diligent efforts, but has to fight a large amount of study material. And Apu hopes to maintain his normal study habits. Now they have shifted their schools, shifted their topics, and there is definitely pressure to get good marks, because the +1, +2 or the turning points always comes at the adolescents, and both are definitely reporting significant stress. Now coming to the statistics on exam stress. Academic examinations are common acute stressors experienced by almost all students. Stress level was constant at 51%, irrespective of their level of preparations. But even then, around 1/4 of the students are of the opinion that exams are a positive opportunity to prove their mettle. So in many studies, it has come up that around 25% students can experience very high levels of test anxiety during their exams. So what is stress? Stress is a state of threatened homeostasis, which may be because of intrinsic or and extrinsic forces, which are known as stressors. So this results in physiological and behavioral changes. This is what is known as the adaptive stress response or a cacostasis. When in adaptive stress response, the child, we expect the ideal situation, we expect the baby or the child to realize that exams will come and the stress will come, and these are the preventive or ways of tackling or coping responses I am supposed to give. When the child doesn't learn that, or there is no enough time to learn that, the child goes into the state of disharmony, which can be presenting as performance anxiety or bad experiences, as many have shared. So we all know about the human stress response. This is just a reminder. We all know about the importance of adrenaline, cortisol, and how it can affect various systems in our body. So actually, this is the reason for the type of symptoms presenting as different levels of stress. It can be cognitive, emotional, or physical symptoms. The emotional symptoms, that is anger, fear, guilt, feeling helplessness, shame, and disappointment. These are very difficult to be shared by the adolescent who has a very big problem with their privacy and level of comfort in sharing their innermost feelings. So most of the time, emotional symptoms may be expressed as complaints from the parents, but this has to be considered as a manifestation of stress. We are all aware of the problems in physical symptoms, which may be nausea, tachypnea, tachycardia, headache, dizziness, tense muscles, even features suggestive of irritable bowel. Cognitive symptoms, which may be difficulty in concentrating, negative thinking, racing thoughts, blanking out, and overthinking. But we have to give due care to the emotional symptoms of the adolescent as well. So one important thing we have to tell the adolescent, the stress has a vicious cycle, and feeling of stress prior to exam is normal. Feeling of stress prior to presentation as well is normal. So exam stress is natural, and exam is a natural part of student life, and stress is not always harmful. The awareness that stress can push you to get better heights itself may be an empowering knowledge to the adolescent. Optimal level of stress is very important as it facilitates growth, mastery, and higher levels of performance. And there are various scales which we can be trained to assess. Some of the scales are put in the footnotes. So what is the positive stress or the eustress? So it results from challenging but attainable. Just like we give small additions, how it is taught in small classes. We are giving pictorial representation, after which they are giving 2-digit additions, after which they are giving 3-digit additions, and then the child is able to enjoy different levels of using this knowledge. So it has to be given in challenging but attainable or enjoyable goals so that it generates achievement, a sense of achievement. If you are going to give tougher questions even before the child is equipped, that cannot result in eustress. So this term was coined by Hans Selye, who is known as the father of stress research. So the concept of eustress is very important to be shared with teachers. Eustress drives you to achieve better things emotionally, psychologically, as well as physically. So we all attain this eustress when we are traveling, undergoing life changes, and when we are learning new hobbies. It is still an important part of adult life also. The problems associated with exam stress are varied, and we have discussed many of them. But the major problem is that it can result in chronic stress, resulting in burnout and depression, which results in long-term lifestyle changes, as well as the difficulties in attaining greater academics when it matters the most. So these are the components of test anxiety as defined by Ziegner, just a psychiatric aspect. So these are the problems associated to identify. If I fail this exam, my whole life is a failure. And the child has certain difficulties inhibiting the performance. When I go to exam hall, I can blank out. Appraisal of the physiological state. How is the patient at presence? And the child avoids studying, keeps the portions that are not studied for later. So these are the components of test anxiety. If at least 2 of these exist, we can consider that this child is a candidate for counseling. So again, after eustress, the most important point to be shared by the adolescent that it is not the stress that kills us, it is our reaction or our adaptation towards it. How do we cope with the stress? So this is how the stress works. In the initial levels of pressure, what happens is the child tries to do something or do something in response to the pressure or the study material that is given to the child. But if the study material is too low for the level of IQ or level of learning for the child, what happens is there is no motivation to learn further. So this results in boredom. If you slowly increase the quantities to be learned or the areas to be covered, it can result in an ideal zone which just pushes the child out of the comfort zone. But when the child is stressed out too much and when the child is under chronic stress for a long time, there is lack of interest in doing further heavy work, and this results in zone of delusion. That is where you feel that whatever I study is not going to matter a lot and results in burnout and actually decreases the performance. So we have to see that the child is just beyond the comfort zone to obtain the optimal performance. Why is Ammu anxious and why is Appu anxious? So what we can see is Ammu has studied better and Appu has not been prepared. Still, she is also anxious. So individual characteristics, family environment, the social environment, that is what we say as expectations building pressure on the child, and past experiences as well as resilience are important causes of identifying this stressor part. That is, we have to assess the child as 360-degree in addition to how the performance in the past exams have affected the child and how resilience is built up by repeated failures, which will lead to success later on. So what is the worst approach for the exams? Exams are coming like a tsunami and the child is totally not prepared. So we are coming to the actual reason, sources of anxiety. Some of them we have discussed before. So the important external sources are self-esteem. That is when the child is putting all the self-esteem on the outcome or the performance in the exams alone. How the child is judged in context of school as well as home. And fear appeals. Fear appeals means exaggerating the importance of exams. I will share my experience like everybody else. In 7th, I had a shift from state to CBSE exams. And when my 10th standard exams were going on, we had the World Cup in cricket happening. And in our school, there was no pressure as such in 10th standard, due to which we were able to catch up all the matches. It was actually a fun period when I look back. But I know experiences shared by my roommates and friends where in SSLC, the 10th was a very bad experience. So this is how fear appeals can mold the response to exams. So coming to the internal sources of stress, perfectionism, people pleasing, competence, poor time management, and very poor learning strategies. These are all very common in our population. Of this, the competence is where your child's competence or the intelligence quotient and social factors, the time allowed, iron deficiency anemia, hyperthyroidism, which all can medically be corrected or medically be detected. Those parts, even psychiatric illness, come in when there is a competence problem. All the others can be addressed by the different strategies of learning. What did Appu do for the last exam? Should he change and can he change? So for a child who is not regularly learning, who has not learned the art of learning, you have to tell the basics of learning. The child is expected to listen or actually go to the classroom and be mentally present in the classroom. Both attendance as well as lack of wandering of your concentration is very, very important. The classroom is an important point of learning. To take good notes and to review them in 24 hours. To schedule, find time for studies, whatever else is coming up, you have to schedule your time for studies and use that study time with concentration. Quality matters, even though quantity also matters, the quality matters even more. So one way to equip the child is to give appropriate note-making techniques. So we have all had times when we have been making the notes for the same topic over and over again and still not learning enough. But the way of note-taking is different when you are amassing information from different areas or different books and different tuition centers. It has to come into your mind. It is not necessary to put it into a piece of paper, or it is not enough to put it into a piece of paper. It has to be coming into an amalgamated form. So the appropriate note-making techniques are equipping features to help the basics of learning. So somebody who can't be helped is someone who has been doing everything else except study when there was a time to study. So these people, we will have to tell them how to schedule the time for study. So coming to the SQ3R method to improve textbook comprehension. So this is introduced in 1940s to make the reading process less difficult and more interesting. Many of the readers or good avid readers will vouch by this because they have learned this technique by themselves. So what is SQ3R? That is survey, query, read, recall, and review. Survey means first, why do I need to study this? What is the purpose of this lesson? We can try to understand the purpose of the lesson in our own terms. What do you expect to identify in each section? For example, if there is an introduction on time and how speed and time is related and how speed is important for your life, each heading we can try to understand. Some of these basics will be known to us from our daily experience or our previous learning experience. So that is very important to survey a query so that we can build our own level of interest, which will keep up a level of concentration. Then we read, recall, and review. Instead of reading 5 times, the child is expected to read through the whole lesson without stopping. And even if some portions are not understood, keep on going and reading. Then after completing the first reading, what are the points you have understood? So what happens sometimes is when you come across a difficult area, the explanation or the puzzle will be completed when you come to another area of the lesson. So it is important to read through and through the chapter, recall, and review. Now, at the end of recall, what you understood is very important. And now you go through the reading part again slowly. Remember now why you are reading, what is the points you have understood, what is the points you found difficult, and how to correct that difficulty. So this SQ3R is definitely a teachable area, but it is not a self-learned area for many people. So SQ3R is very important to be taught to the student. Survey, query, read, recall, and review. And the most important thing is to start revising well before the exams, to use good exam taking strategies, which we will see later, and to remain cool. How to remain cool and how to use this exams taking strategies we'll come to later. So what is to be done with the parents and society? Okay, so when a child is studying well, and generally people have high expectations, people tend to think that she has it all easy. You have your IQ is what matters. But over a time period or in high functioning situations, it is always the method of preparation, the method of coping with the stress, and the method of putting your knowledge out to the world that matters. Appu's parents, are they available for the child to discuss, to share his problems, to be there as a supportive environment? Are they observant? What is he doing when he's off the school? Is he coming to school? Are they judgmental? Are they more concerned with the outcome? That is, however you study, however you cheat, you come out with good results. So that part is also to be addressed. The parental stress is one of the most important problems in India. 2/3 of the students report stress due to academic pressure in a study in Kolkata, with no significant differences in any other areas. 2/3 of the students. And the most important point was that Indian children from non-disrupted families, that is a single parent family where the parent did not have enough time to monitor the academics, were reporting less stress from the parents. So the family background is a very, very important thing to be addressed, and the parents should be given an idea of how their pressure is going to impact their world badly, very badly in some cases. So less distraction. This is something that parents have to see. Phones, limit the screen time, limit access to other distracting areas, and be present along with them during their times of stress. Never stress, be regular in monitoring the child. See how the child is eating and be attentive to the time spent with the child. The child may not share something with the stressors or the problems in school when we go and ask them, how was your school or how was your day? But the child may come to you at times we totally don't expect, or that is the time when they want to open up, and be attentive to them when they want to share something with us. So coming to the learning strategies, this work is a way of learning. So we have all identified the use of PowerPoints, which is why we are having such a Zoom meeting. So VARK refers to visual, oral, read, and kinesthetic. So kinesthetic means doing the experiments, labs, etc. So actually the multimodal is the best way of learning. We need to have visual, oral, writing and reading, as well as doing experiments. All these parts are important part of learning, which complement each other. Though people may have preference for one over the other, the ideal way to address a big group of people is to go through all these, because the people can gain more from one area or the other. So multimodal, it is not enough to read 5 times or write 5 times. You need to have actual activities going on, as well as discuss with others and note your pictures and diagrams as well. So coming to semantic maps or graphic organizers, are maps or web of words. I will come back to the slide after seeing this. So this is how a mind map is made. A mind map is one way of doing semantic maps. How the idea from a small lesson can be integrated into a small picture. So from this, they can develop according to the level of knowledge they have. This can be, a food web can be created by a 4th standard student in a different way from a BSc zoology student. But the concept will remain the same, but the branches may be more in the case of a person who has more knowledge. So this is very important to identify the interconnectivity of the concepts that is taught in a lesson or across lessons or even across specialities. So we are familiar with the Venn diagram in school, matrix, cause and effect maps, charts, which we have all used. So coming to the spaced practice, this is just another fancy name for studying it over a period of time. That is, it is better to teach concepts, just like we mentioned earlier. In the 4th standard, there is an introduction to the food web. In 8th standard, there is a reiteration of the points and some additional points are taught, so that the knowledge can be used well or integrated in our brain over a period of time. We are also using this in multiple postings in our MBBS curriculum. So the difference between massed practice and spaced practice, this is the difference, but the retention interval to final test is the same in these two conditions. The initial study was done, then a review was done. And when the final test comes, after this review, the people are able to reproduce it better. This has been proven in several studies. Cramming is an example of mass practice, when you study just before your average and try to go with a short period of processing or retention interval. But these children are not able to do as well as children who have had spaced practice. So coming back to the importance of revision. So this is Ebbinghaus curve of forgetting. There are many problems in this monomorphic curve. However, it is important to know the most important things, that is repetitive use of knowledge, which we already know. Keeping revising over time itself will improve the quantity of the taught material that is retained. So easy way of doing it is having revision, mnemonics, which you can pin up on the room, flashcards, chapter review cards, which you can utilize in a short period, and adequate sleep is important for integrating some learned information into our long-term memory. So adequate sleep is also important for our long-term memory. It is not just for the well-being of the child and to decrease stress. It is also important for long-term memory. So coming to retrieval practice, the strategy of recalling facts, concepts, or events from the memory. Basically, retrieval practice refers to exam. Again, another of the common complaint for exam-going students is that multiple exams are being conducted. The activity of including test sessions while acquiring new information is known to markedly boost long-term retention. So what the child and the parent has to learn is that this test session is not aimed at putting the child into 100% or a top category. This is actually a test for the brain, so that the brain is able to acquire more facts because of we have to use the tests as a way of practice, not as a way of assessment. So it is easy to apply and has high utility and is being used in educational practice very commonly. And it is useful in conducting the exams in stepwise manner, so that the complexity of the exams can go on increase over a period of time. And it is useful even in children with learning disabilities, slow learners, and even in children with low IQ. Repeated exams have been shown to improve the performance over time. Answering the same questions over and over again has been shown to increase the long-term memory as well as exam performance over a time. So basics, we are coming back to the importance of learning over a long period, revising regularly, and doing regular exams. All of these are usually being followed in the syllabus, but the positive stress or the use stress that is given by these processes has to be given due importance. So the problem with difficult subjects. Difficult subjects are a panic-inducing session for most of the children. They are not able to give concentration. They do not want to study, and they tend to procrastinate or keep it for the last. So these are all problems to be addressed by the student, that whichever is the toughest subject, whichever is the toughest thing to do, even for ourselves, for our daily life, whatever things we don't like or which we want to skip, we have to put in the best time available to us. It helps to go for group study, and it should never be kept for the last, because you are not going to complete the portions and remember these things if you are weak in that specific area. That is definitely not done. So that is one portion, one area where we can educate them. So some common myths. I should not feel anxious at all before exams. No, exam anxiety is part and parcel of the exam. The anxiety is not due to the syllabus unless there is a cognitive difficulty or medical reason. Do not waste any time taking breaks from studying. Breaks are actually shown to improve the retention of studying, because the attention span wears off. The usefulness of snacks, the usefulness of sleep. 24-hour studying is never advocated, and the sleep should be promoted in an adolescent. Now you are entering the stress-free zone for exam after your preparations. What are the stress busters? Yoga, practice shrugging, talk less, listen more, count your blessings, count your achievements. Now, this is important when the child is reaching the end of the exam period, as now when the model exams are going on. So change in positions of our body helps us relax. Just a shoulder shrug, raise or drawing the shoulders, just like the WhatsApp emoji saying indifference, helps to relieve the tense muscles and improve your blood circulation and change your mood. Talk less and listen more. Talk less about the stress, talk less about the problems, and listen more to the happy things around you, and always see that you have reached so far. Now, quick fix strategies when you are feeling really stressed. Just stretch, laughing hard, doing breathing exercise, enjoying the music, enjoy the sunlight. Laughter increases the levels of endorphins and decreases the levels of all the stress hormones, and can trigger a reversal of the stress response to some level. Laughter can alter serotonin activity also. It is very important when the people are uncomfortable or in a depressed mood. So improving our sense of humor is very, very important to enjoy exams and life. On the day of exam, always remember to follow the guidelines and be prepared with the guidelines, the dress code that is assigned to us, the pen, the pencil, how the exam sheet is made, and talk to yourselves in affirmative statements. Oh, I am cool. Look at the mirror and say that. So that is very, very important factor, that self-affirmation. I am good, I am prepared, I am cool. So these are the magic mantras a person can use just on the day of exam. Reach early, and again, where the exams are held, how to reach there, what is the traffic. These are the homework we should do prior to reaching the day of exam. Relax with what you know. Don't try to learn something you do not know, but your neighbor knows. So always relax with what you know before entering the exam hall. During the exam, there are some relaxation techniques if you find yourself stressed again. One of them is box breathing, which is very easy. This is a box which all of the sides which represents 4 seconds each. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, again hold the exhalation for 4 seconds. So 2 to 3 cycles of box breathing can improve the oxygen taken in and improve the circulation. And this process of moving the muscles itself can decrease a lot of the stress. Now, the other one is guided imagery, where you can think of a happy place or a happy area of your life, or a scene which will stimulate us. Some people are happy with their family, some people are happy with the nature. You have to find the imagery which will help you the most in time of stress. And always leave 10 to 15 minutes for checking. That is whether the question numbers are right, whether the exam papers are tied in order if you need to do that, and whether there is any diagram or something which you have left to complete at the end of the exam. So the answered question should be exactly answered the way you wanted it to be, and leave the unknown answers to go. So that is very, very important. If you don't know, skip and move on. That is the most important lesson of writing any exam. If you don't know, just skip and move on. After the exams, don't go on calculating your marks. Avoid postmortems. Exams test your memory, not your learning. Life tests your learning. So the take-home message, exams are inherent part of students' life. It should be a challenge. The challenge is to learn coping strategies for dealing with exam stress, learn good learning strategies, and develop appropriate stress busters that can help you. Exercise, good diet, adequate sleep, enhance sleep performance. That is very important for parents and children to know alike. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Priya, for the excellent presentation of the module, how to deal with the exam stress. I once again congratulate all the contributors, Dr. Priya, Dr. Deepa, Dr. Anjit, and Shibu, for this wonderful module. Now the session is open for discussion. Your suggestions are invited. Your criticism also invited. I think Deepa, we will any suggestion, we will modify the module with accordingly. Anything to
Dr.
add?
Priya, repeat that box of breathing.
Congratulations, sir. You are not clear.
Priya, can you repeat the box of breathing?
I said box breathing as a box of breathing where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, again hold the expiration for 4 seconds. So that it improves our vital capacity. There is better oxygenation and it takes away your thoughts on the stressful part of the exam.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
It become a box.
Excellent. Excellent.
Parvati, madam. Madam, unmute.
Excellent presentation, Priya. Certain points to be stressed. You have to stress on that SQ3R. It is very good idea, SQ3R. Even the parents should know all these things. And then work. And space practice. During our MBBS days, we used to see that, especially boys, they don't have the space practice, but in the end, they will study just before the exam and they will also get good marks. But later, they may not be able to remember all these things. That's one thing. And stress boosters, that is a very good idea. And you have to encourage people to have this yoga practice. And this pranayama, it is this box breathing is actually part of all this well covered. Congratulations, Priya and the team for bringing out this module. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice words. Actually, much of this material is loaned from an original stress buster schedule of Dr. Deepa Janardhanan, which has been in rotation for a very long time.
Okay, congratulations, Deepa.
Yeah, that your presentation was excellent actually. It came out very well. And actually, we have this one more module for the adolescents. So both these modules will be available in the IAP website. So IAP Kerala website. So request everyone, whenever you get a chance, like if you can go out to the schools, communities.
Both modules, similar slides. So we are releasing only one today.
Ashraf,
Okay.
can I
Definitely,
make
sir.
a point?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm glad that
Okay.
Okay, a lot of my teachers are there. I'm just hoping that they should have seen this before our exams. Anyway, so to make a more serious point, there is one thing which is there, like this is the presentation is focused very much on preparation of for the exams. It's a very good module. But there are some children, some students who find the exam process stressful. They're able to study, they're able to reproduce anything without the exam stress. They are able to, for example, draw lessons from that. They're able to code their textbooks verbatim. But when it comes to exam performance, they flunk the exams or they have very few marks. So that is very specifically, they can't write the exam properly. They know how to do it, but they are unable to do it. Apart from, I don't know, maybe a little bit of it is anxiety. So that is one thing which I wanted to say. So that is one thing which I would like addressed in this. Like we did mention about relaxation techniques and all that, but there are students who find everything is fine till the exam starts. And when the bell tolls, they start getting stressed and they cannot reproduce whatever they have studied. Any comments?
Sir, I would like to take this question. Actually, I belong to this group of students till my class 7. I was very much stressed, and then I had to shift schools all of a sudden. So I went to a school where I had to change from state syllabus CBSE. I was unable to read and write Hindi because obviously in state syllabus it starts with class 5. I really couldn't read my Hindi question paper. That I was that bad at Hindi. So when the exam results came, my Hindi teacher just gave me 51 marks for the effort. She has written for the effort, 51 out of 100 for the effort. So I became a convert. So now after that, I have never experienced exam stress in my whole life because that is a true teaching she has given me, because it all matters is the effort. I think that onus is on the adults to model the children.
Yeah. And if I can, one more point regarding the time management. I write my exams reasonably well, especially the written part. And I always do time management. I write down the times on the side of the question paper. But some of my adolescents tell me, my nephews, niece, and everybody, that nowadays you're not allowed to touch the question paper. You cannot write anything on the question paper. So how will you manage time? And sometimes there is not even a clock in the exam hall. So I think schools also have to take a little bit of effort towards reducing the stress and provide a proper clock and allow them to at least jot down the timings of the answers on the side of the question paper. So this, I think, is the school should also accommodate a little bit.
I remember correctly, our teachers used to say 30 minutes left. So they used to, at least half an hour before, they used to give one. Maybe seconds.
There are several comments in the chat box. And one comment is, iron deficiency is widespread in adolescence, and correcting it improves memory as well as cognitive and physical performance, definitely. All the medical condition, we should do a proper physical examination in any child with stress, as well as the system examination to rule out medical condition, including iron deficiency anemia, and treatment of iron deficiency anemia definitely improve the cognitive. Any other comments? Santosh, thank you for your comments. Now the infrastructure as well as the facilities in most of the schools, including government schools, are improved. It is not like our period. But ഇപ്പോൾ ക്ലോക്കൊന്നും ഇല്ലാത്ത സ്കൂളുകളൊക്കെ വളരെ കുറവാണ്. കാരണം ക്ലോക്കിന് അത്രേ വിലയുള്ളൂ ഇപ്പോൾ. പണ്ടൊരു ക്ലോക്കിന് തന്നെ ഭയങ്കര പൈസയായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഒരുപാട് ഇമ്പ്രൂവ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ട്. പിന്നെ സന്തോഷപ്പെടുന്നത് ഭയങ്കര ഒരു ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് കാര്യമാണ്. ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പറിൽ ഒന്നും എഴുതരുത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പലപ്പോഴും വേറൊരു റഫ് വർക്കിനൊന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. റഫ് വർക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പർ ആയിരിക്കും. അത് അക്കാഡമിഷ്യൻസിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ ഇത്തരം ഡിസ്കഷൻസ് വരുമ്പോൾ ഇതൊക്കെ ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത് വരും.
ആൻസർ പേപ്പറിലെ സൈഡിൽ ഒരു ഇത്തിരി ഇതുണ്ടാവില്ലേ?
ആക്ച്വലി ദ ആൻസർ പേപ്പറിന്റെ 1/3 നമ്മൾ ഇങ്ങനെ വരച്ചു വെച്ചിട്ട് റഫ് വർക്കിന് ഉപയോഗിക്കണം എന്നാണ് ശരിക്കുള്ള റെക്കമെൻഡേഷൻ. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാല് റൈറ്റ് ഹാൻഡ് സൈഡിലുള്ള ഭാഗം മടക്കി ആ ഭാഗത്ത് റഫ് വർക്കാണ് എന്നാണ് ഒറിജിനൽ കൺസെപ്റ്റ്. If there is no more comments, I think Deepa, Ranjit, we will conclude. Any other formalities? Any other comments? Ranjit.
Sir, Newton Lewis sir and Shubha Badami ma'am from Bangalore is joined. Ma'am, you want to make any comments?
I'm sorry, I was not able to hear the whole of Priya's talk, but whatever I heard, I was very impressed. I think that a lot of points were covered, and how much ever time and effort we spend in reassuring these children facing exams is not wasted. So recently I did address, 5th standard students have suddenly been given a public exam in Bangalore. And I was surprised that 60 to 70, parents came to listen to my talk on study skills. So the parents, I feel, need a lot of counseling. We do ask this question, what are you doing when the child is studying? And we get a lot of answers. Somebody will be watching TV, somebody will be looking at her phone, the mother or the father, or they'll be talking with the neighbor. So we tell the parent, can you stay in the house with your child, with the book in your hand, and sit alongside the child so the child is reassured. So I think that we have to do a lot of counseling to parents to allow them to understand the stress the child is going through, and not just tell the child go study and you don't do anything else to help that child. I think that is the point I wanted to make.
Thank you, madam. Dr. Newton is there?
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Your comments perfectly. Yeah.
Okay, so
you are audible.
Yes, actually, I love the presentation. Very confident presentation and very comprehensive presentation. I see a lot of children with this problem of exam stress and study stress. And basically, I tell this all the time because I am always talking about in my OP. These parents don't allow the child to sleep. Now, this point is already mentioned that sleep is very important. It is important for long-term memory. It is important for concentration when studying. It is important for reducing stress so that the child can study. It is important for keeping the child in a good mood so that he is motivated to study. And the problem is the children are expected to wake up and sit with their books. When they go to school and they go to school, they have not slept yet. They don't only slept 6 hours. Then they sit and do tuition for 1 hour. Then they sit and study at home for 1 hour. Then they go to school and sleep in school. So what happens if they go to school and sleep the time? They have no concentration in school. They come back home. They have not studied their understood their portions, and so they do tuition to understand the subject they should have understood in the classroom. So this business of tuitions and this business of not allowing children to sleep is a big problem. Tuitions, the latest studies show that 2018, 25% of high schoolers in the official national study were undergoing tuition. By 2019, by 2022, it has increased to 30% of high schoolers are doing tuition. And if you have ever experienced tuition in your younger days, I have seen it twice or thrice. Tuition is a very complicated way of wasting a child's study time. They will be like a big classroom, there'll be 10 of them, and they are also tired after the day. They'll all be sitting and cracking jokes. In between, the tuition master will teach something because she's getting paid whether she teaches or not for a tuition. So she allows them to relax. A lot of tuition is a tremendous waste of time. And this business of sleep, even yesterday, yesterday, last week, every time I'm advising the parents, let the poor child sleep so that he can study. Now the children are being stressed out because of their parents. There's too much of parental stress. Parental stress being applied to the child so that the child cannot study. I have seen this, unfortunately, in my own children where I couldn't stop them. They were sleeping 9 hours. The teacher had asked them to sleep only 6 hours. As a compromise, after a fight with me, they slept 8 hours, and both of them underperformed a little bit in their exams. I felt very bad, but anyway, plus 2 there was no teachers to bother. It's only in high school. So for plus 2, they didn't believe and they are shown in life. There is too much of parental stress in Kerala on the child, thereby creating so much of stress that they can't perform.
Thank you, Dr. Newton. Definitely, we should find time to interact with the parents also. Often, they may need counseling rather than the child, because the exam system, the education will become. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a completion about somebody else. You mentioned about the Sandosh mentioned about writing in the what you call it on the question paper not permitted. This happened to me in my MD exam, for the DCH exam and for the MD exam. I don't do that. What I do is in the question paper I was writing down the points that I'm going to mention for each answer. The teachers caught hold of me and said, you can't do this. You're going to help somebody by showing your question paper to someone else and all that. So it became a bit of a racket, and somebody came and told them, it's a very good student. You won't cheat like that. So then the examiner told me, I know it's like that, but you're not permitted. So from that day onwards, for all the exams, I think for MT, you have some 4 papers or something like that. So then what I did is I took the last page of the exam sheet and I wrote down, for the first 15 minutes, I was writing down the points for each answer. And only after that, I started answering the exam paper. First 15 minutes, I spent writing down what are the most important points for every question. I wrote it down on that sheet. And after I finished the exam, the last sheet, I just cut it and said rough paper. So this I did for all exams. I had no problem. But you're not supposed to write a single word on the question paper.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Newton. Dr. Sindhu? If Sindhu, എന്തെങ്കിലും പറയുന്നുണ്ടോ?
ഇല്ല സർ, നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും വേണ്ട നല്ലൊരു ടോപ്പിക് ആയിരുന്നു. ഇതിന്റെ മോഡ്യൂൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഷെയർ ചെയ്ത് കിട്ടുമല്ലോ സർ.
എല്ലാവരുടെയും കുട്ടികൾ 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സും 11, 12 ഒക്കെയാണ്.
നല്ലതായിരുന്നു സർ.
Thank you. With this,
പാരന്റ്സിനാണ് കൂടുതൽ ആവശ്യം തോന്നുന്നു. പാരന്റ്സ് നീഡ് മോർ കൗൺസിലിംഗ്.
Definitely, madam.
എല്ലാവരും അഡോളസൻസിന്റെ പാരന്റ്സ് അല്ലേ എല്ലാവരും.
ഇപ്പൊ പ്രിയക്ക് ഇത് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്തത്, പ്രിയക്കും ദീപക്കും രഞ്ജിതനും ഒക്കെ ഇത് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്തത് യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആയിരിക്കും ഫോർ themselves. Okay. But with this, we are concluding the session. Once again, I congratulate Priya for the excellent, crisp presentation, as well as I thank Dr. Ranjit as well as Dr. Deepa for giving me this opportunity to moderate the session, as well as to review the module. Over to you, Dr. Ranjit.
Thank you, Dr. Priya, for the excellent presentation, and respected Ashrav sir for the excellent moderation and good comments and feedbacks from Newton Lewis sir, VK Power ma'am, Shubha ma'am, Venkatesh sir, and all. So, AHA Kerala is coming out with more such module, and we will be making it available in the IAP Kerala website within the few days. As Ashok sir told, we had a module for the students also.
Sudha madam അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു രഞ്ജിത്ത്. Sudha madam ഒന്നും പറഞ്ഞില്ല.
Sudha ma'am.
Okay.
കേൾക്കാം
മേഡം.
ഒന്നുമില്ല, ഞാൻ ഇടയിൽ എന്റെ ചാർജ് പോയിട്ട് ഒരു 5 മിനിറ്റ് ഡിസപ്പിയർ ചെയ്ത് വന്നതാണ് തിരിച്ച്. I heard the talk fully. It was wonderful. പറയാതെ വയ്യ. I wish this was there some years back, where we could have given our children also the proper advice. Anyway, a wonderful talk, and I appreciate such efforts by the AHA. Congrats, Ranjit and team. Thank you. Jay.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Deepa ma'am, Shibu sir, and Priya ma'am for the excellent contributions for this module, and Dr. Sheda, who had anchored this program so well. And thank you all for this wonderful evening. And thank you all. Good night. JAAP.
Thank you. Malabarna പോണം കോന്നിക്ക്.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.